Let me tell you about the most bizarre dating experience I've ever had, and trust me, I've had some weird ones. But this takes the cake. This takes the whole bakery, honestly. For context, we're Canadian. Both of us. Born and raised in Canada, living in Canada, dating in Canada. This detail is going to become important in a minute, so keep that in your back pocket. I'd matched with this guy on a dating app a few weeks prior. His profile seemed normal enough, decent photos, no obvious red flags in his bio, had a job, seemed like he had his life together. We chatted for a bit, the conversation flowed okay, nothing spectacular but nothing terrible either. He asked me out for coffee, and I said sure. Why not? That's how dating works, right? You meet someone, you give them a chance, you see if there's chemistry in person. The first date was fine. Just fine. Nothing amazing, but nothing awful either. We met at a coffee shop downtown, talked for about an hour and a half. He was nice enough, a little self-absorbed maybe, but I thought perhaps he was just nervous. You know how first dates can be, everyone's trying to present their best self, sometimes people overcompensate. I've done it too. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt when he spent most of the date talking about his job, his hobbies, his interests, his opinions on various topics. I barely got a word in edgewise, but again, I chalked it up to first date jitters. He texted me the next day saying he had a great time and wanted to see me again. I wasn't completely sold on him, but I figured second dates exist for a reason. Sometimes people relax more on the second date, sometimes the conversation flows better, sometimes you discover something you didn't see the first time around. So I agreed to a second date. We met up again the following week, this time at a different cafe closer to where I live. And honestly, the second date was pretty much a carbon copy of the first. He talked about himself the entire time. Ad nauseam. Seriously, this man could talk about himself for hours without taking a breath. His childhood, his college years, his career trajectory, his workout routine, his meal prep strategies, his fantasy football league, his opinions on every TV show currently streaming, his thoughts on various sports teams, just a constant stream of consciousness about him. I'm sitting there, nursing my latte, trying to find openings to contribute to the conversation, trying to share my own stories or experiences, but he'd just steamroll right over me. Every time I'd start to say something, he'd interrupt with, "Oh yeah, that reminds me of when I..." Or speaking of that, let me tell you about. It was exhausting. By the end of that second date, I knew there wasn't going to be a third. I'd already made up my mind. The chemistry just wasn't there, and more importantly, he didn't seem interested in getting to know me at all. This wasn't a conversation, it was a monologue with an audience. But fine, whatever. I can be polite. I can finish my coffee, thank him for his time, and go home. That was the plan. We were wrapping up, getting ready to leave, and I was already mentally composing the thanks but no thanks text I'd send him later that evening. Something polite but firm. Something like, "Hey, I had a nice time, but I'm not feeling a romantic connection. Best of luck to you." You know, the standard letdown text. And then it happened. We were standing outside the cafe. I had my jacket on, my purse over my shoulder. He was gathering his things, reaching into his messenger bag for something. And then he just pulled it out. A red MAGA hat. Make America Great Again. Right there. In Canada. On our second date. I just stared at it. My brain short-circuited for a moment. It was so completely disorienting, so utterly bizarre, that I couldn't immediately process what I was seeing. We're in Canada. We're Canadian. Why does this Canadian man have a MAGA hat? Why is he pulling it out right now? Why is he showing it to me? What is happening? He's holding it up, grinning at me like he just showed me something hilarious. Like he just pulled out a funny meme or a silly souvenir. He's clearly expecting me to laugh, to find this amusing, to react with delight or at least interest. But I just stood there, frozen, trying to make sense of the situation. "Isn't this funny?" he said, still grinning, still holding up the hat like it was a prize. I didn't laugh. I didn't smile. I just looked at him, then at the hat, then back at him. I said, because what else do you say in that moment? What is the appropriate response when someone pulls out a symbol of American far-right politics on a date in Canada? His smile started to fade when he realized I wasn't reacting the way he wanted. And that's when he started to double down. Instead of just putting the hat away and moving on, instead of reading the room and recognizing that this wasn't landing, he started defending himself. Trying to explain. Trying to justify why he had it, why he was showing it to me, why it was funny. It's just a joke, he said. My friend gave it to me as a gag gift. It's ironic, you know? It's funny because we're Canadian. I still wasn't laughing. I still wasn't smiling. I was just confused. And increasingly uncomfortable. It's fine, I said, trying to end this conversation as quickly as possible. You don't have to explain yourself. But he kept going. He kept insisting it was a joke, that his friend gave it to him, that it didn't mean anything, that I was overreacting by not finding it funny. He wouldn't drop it. He wouldn't let it go. He was clearly bothered that I didn't react the way he expected, that I didn't find his joke amusing, and now he needed me to understand, to validate his choice to show me this thing. And all I could think was, I'm never going on another date with this person. This is done. We're done. I just want to go home. Seriously, it's fine, I said again, more firmly this time. You really don't need to explain. But he did need to explain, apparently. He needed me to know that it was ironic. That it was satire. That his friend gave it to him at some party or event and it was supposed to be funny and he kept it because why? That's what I asked him. Why did you keep it? I said. If it was just a gag gift, why do you still have it? Why is it in your bag? And why did your friend have it in the first place? He couldn't answer. He stuttered for a moment, searching for words, and then just went back to insisting it was a joke. It was funny. I should think it's funny. But here's the thing about jokes, they're supposed to be funny. And there was nothing funny about this. Not to me. Not as a young woman on a date with a stranger. Not in the current political climate. Not with everything going on in the world. I live in Canada, yes, but that doesn't mean I'm not aware of what that hat represents. It doesn't mean I don't know what it symbolizes. It doesn't mean I'm comfortable with someone I barely know pulling it out and waving it around like it's some harmless prop. Because it's not harmless. It represents xenophobia, misogyny, racism, authoritarianism. It represents a political movement that has actively worked to strip away rights from women, from immigrants, from LGBTQ+ people, from anyone who doesn't fit their narrow definition of what America should be. And is man, this 30-year-old man who should know better, thought it would be funny to show it to me. Thought I'd laugh. Thought it was a good idea to pull out a symbol of hatred and bigotry on a second date with someone he claimed to like. I made my excuses and left. Got in my car, drove home, and sat in my living room for a while just processing what had happened. It felt surreal. Like I'd hallucinated the whole thing. But no, it was real. That had actually happened. I texted him later that evening. Kept it short and simple. Hey, I don't think we should go on another date. I don't think we're compatible. Take care. And then the paragraphs started. Oh my God, the paragraphs. He sent me message after message after message. He really liked me, he said. He thought we had a connection, he said. He wanted to see me again, he said. He didn't understand why I was ending things over a stupid hat, he said. It was just a joke, he said. I was being too sensitive, he said. I was overreacting, he said. This man I'd spent a total of maybe 4 hours with over 2 dates, who had spent the vast majority of that time talking about himself, who didn't know anything about me because he'd never bothered to ask, was now sending me essays about how much he liked me and how we should give it another chance. No. Absolutely not. Hard pass. Because here's what he didn't understand, and what I now had to explain to him like he was a child, showing a young woman a MAGA hat on a date, as a stranger, as a man, has connotations. It has implications. It tells me something about you, about your values, about your judgment, about how seriously you take things that matter. Even if it was a joke, and I'm not convinced it was a joke in incredibly poor taste. It shows a complete lack of awareness. It shows that you don't understand or don't care about what that symbol represents to a lot of people. It shows that you think politics and human rights are funny, that there's something to be ironic about, that they're not serious or important. And honestly, it's a safety issue. As a woman dating men, I have to be careful. I have to protect myself. I have to pay attention to red flags. And a man showing me a MAGA hat unprompted on a second date is a massive red flag. Because what else don't I know about you? What other views do you hold? How do you actually feel about women? About consent? About boundaries? About taking no for an answer? I'm not interested in finding out. I'm not interested in becoming another statistic. I'm not interested in ending up dismembered and on the news just to have those same bigots who love that hat victim blame me anyway. Why did she go out with him, they'd say. She should have known better. Well, guess what? I do know better. And that's why I'm out. So no, I will not be wasting my breath explaining all of this to him. I will not be giving him a detailed breakdown of why his actions were inappropriate. I will not be teaching this 30-year-old man basic social awareness and political consciousness. That's not my job. I don't owe him my time, my energy, or my emotional labor. I blocked his number, deleted the dating app, and moved on with my life. But NTLY, that's not where this story ends. Because a few days later, I started getting messages on social media. Not from him directly, I'd blocked him everywhere, but from burner accounts. Anonymous messages. And they were vile. Rape threats. Death threats. Accusations that I was a stuck-up bitch who couldn't take a joke. That I was leading him on. That I owed him a chance. That I was a slut, a whore, every misogynistic slur you can imagine. And the thing is, I don't know for sure if it was him. I don't have proof. But the timing is suspicious, isn't it? I reject him, and suddenly I'm getting harassed online by multiple anonymous accounts all saying similar things. Could be a coincidence. Could be his friends. Could be random men from the internet who somehow found out about our situation and decided to punish me for it. Doesn't really matter who it was, though. What matters is that this is the reality of being a woman who dares to have standards. Who dares to say no? Who dares to protect herself? We get threatened. We get harassed. We get punished for setting boundaries. And this is exactly why I won't date men who think MAGA hats are funny. Because even if they claim it's a joke, even if they insist they don't actually support those politics, the fact that they think it's something to joke about tells me everything I need to know. It tells me they don't take these issues seriously. It tells me they don't see the harm. It tells me they care more about their own amusement than about the safety and comfort of the people around them. Some people told me I should have given him a detailed explanation. That I should have told him exactly why I was ending things. That I owed him that much. But I don't agree. I don't owe strange men my emotional labor. I don't owe them a teaching moment. I don't owe them a chance to argue with me, to try to change my mind, to tell me I'm wrong about my own feelings and my own boundaries. I sent him a clear message: I don't want to see him again. That should have been enough. The fact that he couldn't accept that he sent me paragraphs trying to argue his way back into my life, just proves I made the right call. And honestly, I hope he's just as obvious with the next woman he dates. I hope he pulls out that stupid hat on the first date next time so she can save herself the time and energy I wasted. I hope he keeps waving his red flags proudly so women can see them from a mile away and steer clear. Because that's the thing about red flags, they're there for a reason. They're warnings. They're signs that something is wrong, that something is off, that you should proceed with caution or not proceed at all. And when someone shows you who they are, believe them. The first time. Don't make excuses for them. Don't give them the benefit of the doubt. Don't convince yourself you're overreacting or being too picky. Trust your gut. Protect yourself. And don't date men who carry MAGA hats in their bags. Looking back a few weeks later with some distance from the situation, I can see the absurdity of it. The sheer ridiculousness of someone thinking that would be an appropriate thing to do on a date. Maybe someday I'll tell this story at parties and everyone will laugh about how bizarre it was. Maybe it'll become one of those you won't believe what happened to me stories that people love to hear. But right now it's not funny. Right now it's just exhausting. Exhausting to have to explain basic human decency to grown men. Exhausting to face harassment for having standards. Exhausting to navigate a dating world where you can't even trust people to have basic social awareness and respect. This is what modern dating looks like for women. This is what we deal with. This is why so many of us are choosing to be single rather than put up with this nonsense. Because honestly, being alone is better than being with someone who thinks human rights are a punchline. So to that guy, wherever he is now, I have just one thing to say: fuck around and find out. You fucked around by pulling out that hat. You found out by getting blocked and rejected. And hopefully, you learned something from the experience. But somehow, I doubt it.